Hey guys, Kevin here, and I just wanted to do a little video for you to show you the plumbing tools that I use to plumb our tiny house here, a small house. And some of you may already have, and some of them are a little more specialized for this type of plumbing that we did. None of them are really expensive, but there are a couple of kind of have-tos that you're going to need to speed up the process and be able to do some of the mechanics of assembling the plumbing. So I thought I'd just start off with the tools, and then we'll talk about the materials too. And we'll give you some links if you want to find these particular tools underneath the video here. And there's also my plumbing DVD that we did, so we actually shot a video of the process so you can see how to do it if you want to get that. We'll have a link up for that as well. So let's just start off with some pretty basic common tools that you're going to need. A drill is a necessity. This is a cordless. You can get a corded or a cordless drill, whichever. If you've got one already, that'll work. And basically this is primarily because we're going to have to poke a whole lot of holes through all the framing in the house to run the piping, you know, the plumbing pipe. And so we're going to use a couple of different types of bits that make that easy. And again, this is a spade bit. It's flat and it comes in different sizes. This one happens to be 3/4 of an inch, which will handle all your 1/2-inch piping, your fresh water. And you may want to go with an inch long or inch wide spade for the 3/4 inch piping that you'll be using. And these are, you know, you can pick these up at a hardware store on Amazon or whatever. And then you're going to be needing a couple of bigger type of saws, hole saws we call them. And these are what we're going to use, a couple different sizes that we use to poke the bigger holes for the ABS or the waste pipe that we run for the sewer and air drain and so forth. And so this one will work for a 2-inch pipe or an 1.5 inches, either one. It's a little over 2, it's 2.5. If you need any 3-inch piping done, then you're going to need obviously a larger hole saw. And again, these aren't overly expensive, and you can pick these up on the links that we'll give you too. So that's going to be some have-tos. You're going to need something to cut pipe with, and ABS you can cut real easily with a hacksaw, and that's what I would recommend unless you want to spend, you know, $100 on a tubing cutter, which, you know, if you're not going to do any more ongoing projects with plumbing, I would say not spend that kind of money. You probably already have a hacksaw. These are really inexpensive. You can pick these up. So that's going to be a necessity. You're going to need a hammer. You're going to probably use some utility knife of some sort. Be handy. Obviously a tape measure. You're going to be measuring your pipe to length and needing to do that, so that's going to be something you may already have. Now we're talking basically here to rough in the plumbing in the house. You know, if we're going to go to trimming out and putting the actual fixtures in, you're probably going to need a few other tools, wrenches and so forth, but this is primarily just to get you into a position where you've roughed it in and you've passed that inspection, and later on you'll be, when you get the house finished out, you'll be going back and doing the actual fixtures, putting in the sinks and the toilet and things like that. So when it comes time to that, you're probably going to need some wrenches. These are channel locks and a pipe wrench. These are handy. And then 2 specialty tools that you're going to want to use for the type of plumbing that we're going to describe. This is a tubing cutter, and you can use this on PVC or the PEX type water pipe that we're going to be using. We're not doing any PVC in our project, but we did use it on our PEX pipe, and this just makes it really fast to crimp off and cut off a piece of pipe for you. And then this is a crimping tool, and this is to use when we're crimping the pipe fittings onto the PEX tubing. There's a little ring that goes over there, and then this bites a hold of it and pinches it down and puts that squeeze on it so that it'll hold the pipe and be watertight. So that's a have-to for this type of plumbing. And these, there's a couple different kinds of these. One's considerably more expensive than this one. This one is more than adequate to do the job. and we'll make sure to put a link up so you know which one of these it is we're talking about. And that's basically the tools that we're using. And what I want to do now is show you some of the materials so that you can see what you're going to get yourself into. And okay, let's talk about some of the basic materials here real quick. You've got your freshwater pipe and your waste pipe. So we'll talk about the waste pipe. This is what's called ABS, DWV, and that stands for drain, waste, and vent. And so that's what this does. It's either going to vent from the roof coming down, it's going to drain from the sink or toilet or shower, whatever fixture you're looking at, and then it's going to waste on out into the sewer or septic system, whichever you have out there. So the majority of what you're hooking up to for appliances, sinks and so forth, is going to be this 1.5 inches. That's going to be what you're going to drop down to as you come up to a fixture. Oftentimes you're going to be running 2-inch, which can get you up out. This is going to be what you would waste down into and then connect on out even into a 3-inch pipe. And so these are all things that come in 10-foot sticks, so you can buy those. They're pretty lightweight and they're fairly inexpensive. And then you may even have a 3 or 4-inch, and that's just this fitting, so you can just kind of see the size difference going on out into your sewer or your septic system, and then connecting up to whatever you're matching coming out of there. So so we got these 3 basic sizes, and then I was just going to show you, I don't have a bunch, but there are literally dozens of different fixture pipes that are going to fasten on to these different sizes to get you where you want to go. Going around corners, tying into each other. They'll make a pipe that goes from 2-inch to 3-inch, and they'll have a T, they'll have elbows, they'll have 90s, 45s. I mean, it's just couplers where you can connect 2 pieces of pipe together inside of each other like this and continue on. So I could show you, I couldn't even fit all the fittings on this table that you can get for these different sizes of piping. This is a P-trap, but just showing you a little bit of what it would look like coming down out of a sink. Every fixture has a P-trap on it. So those are just different things, and we explain a lot of this in our plumbing DVD that we did, so you can see the detail of how to hook up all the different types of fixtures in your house: toilet, shower, hot water tank, sinks, so forth. Just to give you a little bit of a look-see. And then I want to cut over here to the freshwater pipe. We're going to zoom in here so you can see the smaller fittings that we have. So the freshwater pipe is going to be 3 different pieces basically. This is going to be your 3/4 inch incoming water line. That's typical for a house to have a 3/4 inch line coming in. And then so we just have that in a white, so that kind of gives you a color code. Back in the old days it was all copper and you just had to pay attention because it all looked the same. And then the 1/2 inch tubing, which is going to be what goes to all your fixtures, it actually comes up to your valves, is either red or blue depending on whether you're cold water and hot water. And so that makes it really easy to pay attention and see what you're running into. And then we have a bunch of little fittings here that allow you to connect and go around corners and so on. And so we have a T, and what you would do is you put your compression ring on first, slide that up in here, and then you can put a fitting in after that. It could be a T, could be a 90 or an elbow, or maybe you're coming to the end of your run where your fixture is going to be. And again, this is just to pass inspection for your pressure test. You're going to have to put in a plug, and then we would take the crimping tool and crimp that down tight, and so that would be air and water tight. And then later on we would wind up cutting that off so that we can hook up our valve going up to a sink or whatever, a toilet or whatever it is you're going to do. And those also obviously come in, a 3/4 inch size, so you can see that you always put your crimp on here first, and then you can slide your fitting, whatever it is you're putting in there, and then clamp that down real nice and tight. Or if you're coming up to the end of your run here, you're going to plug it for the time being. So that's kind of what that is, and just wanted to show you what those look like. Okay, let's talk about some of the adhesives and materials we use to make sure we get a watertight seal at a valve junction or where a fitting's coming together on the pipe. Back to the waste pipe, the ABS pipe, we use glue to glue the fittings together, and what we would do is there's a little swab ball inside here, and we would take this out and wipe around the outside here and then around the inside of the fitting, and then glue them together and twist them so they get a good tight fit all the way around, and they're air and watertight. And that would be, and there's a couple different types. So this is a straight black pipe, the ABS pipe we're dealing with. That's what that is. That will connect black pipe to black fitting. And then this other one I've got in my other hand here is a multi-purpose, and what this will do is it will glue dissimilar types of pipes. So if you wanted to glue ABS to PVC, you would have to have this type of glue because that works on both types. If you're going to do just PVC, then they have one for that too. So there's basically 3 different types of glues that you can use, and you have to have the right kind. So that's kind of the gist of that. So then we have some hard fittings where you're going to bring valves together and stops and so forth, and those are probably going to be metal, or at least some metal in them. And so this is what we call Teflon tape, and it's just a real flat, thin piece of, if I can get it out here, tape, and we'll wrap that around the threads of the piece of pipe or fitting that we're working on, and that helps when you screw it into the other part. It's going to seal it up. Some guys like to use this joint compound, or what I call dope, and it's more of a paste, and it's got Teflon in it. And so you can smear that on those threads and get the same effect. And some guys actually use both, and just because they're wanting to make sure they never have to mess with it again, I guess. And that comes in a couple of different sizes. You can see that's a thinner container, and then this one's a little bit thicker. And then one other item here that we use when we're setting sinks on counters is this putty. And this is something that we can make a kind of a long rope of it and wrap it around the rim of the sink before we set it down onto the countertop. And then also when we put the drain baskets and so forth in, this goes around there to seal that up, because they're just a friction fit. They screw down tight, and this mashes out and kind of like Play-Doh, and then we don't have any problems with it leaking around those threads and so forth. So I just wanted to give you a little look-see there of how that all works, and you can get the step-by-step intimate details of this program and how to do all these things in your house if you want to check out our plumber's DVD that we've got on selfreliantlife.com. I'll see you on the next video.